Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all grinding well in Warframe. Very quickly, I'm gonna address a few points regarding the previous Opticore Vandal video I put out. Not everyone agreed and not everyone disagreed. I could clearly see a split in the comment section, which for everyone who did leave a comment, thank you so much. The best part is most if not all of you stated your individual stance on the Opticore Vandal in a civilized, constructive manner, which I super appreciate. I do hope that trend continues with this video as well. And if you're wondering about the title of these past couple of videos, just ignore them. They might seem kinda offensive. They're not. They're kinda clickbait, I admit, but it's like baiting you into actual content. You can check out the Opticore Vandal review video over here, somewhere on the top right corner I believe, or click on the logo right here. Check out some of the videos before you hit subscribe. Right, one of the most common comments I've seen regarding the Opticore Vandal is how it is a try-hard Ferox. A slightly worse version of it, if you will. Now, I'm gonna be honest, after checking the stats, I was like, whoa, maybe these dudes are right. Maybe I was the delusional one. Maybe I was too hyped up when I made that last video. So I built the Ferox, ran around Hydron, put a couple of hours into it, and of course, did some power test runs. Without further ado, let's just show the results. Not exactly how you thought it would be, huh? But there you go. It's actually the opposite of what most people assumed without a shadow of doubt. Now, a few quick disclaimers. These numbers are not 100% representative of weapon performance in the game. They give you a general idea of how each gun performs to one another at baseline. So it's baseline testing essentially. This test will not give you a complete look into other weapon characteristics or traits such as overall usability, stuff like sound effects and feel. You get the idea. Still, stock for stock, with only pure performance in mind, the Opticore Vandal is faster. Now, for those of you who are sharp-eyed, you might have noticed that the Opticore Vandal has slightly better numbers here than in the past video. I can clarify. What happened was basically in the previous video, I was experimenting with some macros in the Logitech G software just to make testing as consistent and hassle-free as possible. While the previous result was deadly consistent, it wasn't exactly indicative of how fast the Vandal could go. There was a weird delay in between charging of each shot as well as reloading. So I did a manual rerun for the Vandal, did a manual run for the Ferox as well, of course. The regular Opticore, however, still managed times around the 28-second mark, so that didn't really warrant a full-on retest or correction. During the power test, I have to say the fastest the Ferox was able to go was around 18 seconds, which would mean it tied with the Vandal if we took the previous test result. But after running 10 times, the Opticore Vandal was clearly a lot faster than just 18 seconds. Actually, the fastest it went in the power test was around 8 seconds. Now, I could have just showed that one run and placed the Vandal way up over the Arcoplasmor, which is not the way to do things. That was clearly an outlier result, so I ran more than the usual 6 runs and took the 3 results with the least deviance. Calculated the average, and there you go. And if you guys have any questions at all regarding testing and how I do it, perhaps you think it is in some way unfair, please do leave questions down in the comments. I will be more than glad to address those. Okay, so performance-wise, the Opticore Vandal is better than a Ferox. At least against Noxes, alright? Can't test it against every enemy in the game. But let's just put that battle aside and focus a little more on the Ferox itself. Looking at these stats, even I was convinced at first that it was probably going to be better than the Vandal. A 32% crit chance is massive. Couple that with a nice 2.8x crit multiplier, and it's easy to see why this would be quote-unquote slightly better than the Vandal. But the damage on this thing is actually slightly inferior to the Opticore Vandal, a total of 350 compared to 400. So you guys who complain about the Vandal losing a ton of damage in comparison to the regular Opticore, why call a weapon with even lesser damage better? I mean, yeah, sure, it's got much higher CC multiplier, even charges a tad bit faster at 0.5 seconds. The alternate attack does a lot more damage at 650. I know, but I'm gonna give it to you straight. Not gonna talk a whole lot about that alternate firing mode. Just tossing it like a polearm spear thing, which it kinda is, I guess. I don't even know. It's just really clunky and inefficient to use. IMO, it doesn't do enough damage to warrant potentially losing a weapon, a primary weapon, for a moment or two, or sometimes even longer, because enemies who don't die from that shot will actually run around with the pole stuck to their face. So it seems kinda glaringly obvious that the Ferox has overall better stats, but somehow the Vandal managed to pull through. Maybe it's the slightly higher base damage and also the innate AoE magnetic damage on impact. Based on the stats alone, that's all I could say. The results are pretty reliable, at least this time around. I manually tested them a lot of times and there's nothing more to add. So yeah, on paper, the Ferox seems to be a great weapon. Forget about the Opticore Vandal, that 32% crit chance alone would get a lot of peeps excited. But in practice, I'm gonna say it straight, I hate the Ferox. What do you mean you hate the Ferox? It's the exact same thing as the Opticore. It works in the same way. Well, I kinda said that to myself too, but it ain't that simple. First of all, I'm gonna say it kinda bothers me that this primary weapon looks like a polearm slash spear slash stick I should be using to slide around and whacking enemy heads with, but that's okay, you get used to it. The effect you get from firing this thing though, sounds like you're shooting high-powered snots. Like, listen to it. And not only does this share the Opticore's inability to hold a charge, you can only fire at full charge, which may not sound like a big fundamental difference, but that's probably why it feels kinda troublesome to use. You see, in addition to being able to fire at half charge, the Opticore Vandal's beam has a width of 0.5 meters. That's a thick beam, and that is what she said as well. The Ferox fires single beams that have no AoE really, so you need to be super accurate and super consistent with your aiming. Otherwise, you're gonna be running through that magazine without doing much at all, and this is already the kind of weapon you shouldn't really use for general mission runs. It just feels bad. I enjoy the Opticore Vandal a whole lot more, and it's not just because of the fire rate. In this case, that is kind of a moot point because the Ferox actually has a faster fire rate. The concept is just better on the Vandal. Fast fire rate, decent damage, you don't even have to be 100% accurate thanks to the wider beam, and with Vile Acceleration you can almost spam the thing, which is what I go for personally, because going for ultimate damage with this thing is kinda pointless, ain't it? There's the regular Opticore for that. This thing, well, it is what it is, and I just modded it to be fun for some general use. I tried brute forcing through capturing a Terrorist. The best I could do to take down a Synovia is 3 to 4 shots, and those are all full powered shots that hit exactly where they should and dealt proper damage. Seriously, instead of asking DE to fix the Vandal, ask them to fix the hitbox issues for Eidolons and weapons like the Opticore. I'm sure a lot more players will turn up with those in pub matches. Then again, with stuff like Rubico Prime being an actual thing in this game, I don't think making Opticores hit more reliably would change much. So to conclude, the Opticore Vandal is superior to the Ferox at baseline testing. You can feel free to argue that in the comments below, I don't mind. I mean, if anything at all, I could even possibly learn something from your testing methods. So I invite you to leave your thoughts and suggestions. Even if the Ferox was 5 seconds faster than the Opticore Vandal, I'd pretty comfortably pick the latter any day. I believe that sums it up pretty well. The Ferox is really not the weapon for me. That's all for this video. I am really grateful for your support, guys, but right now I'm gonna go work on some stuff outside Warframe that really needed attention these past few days. If you liked this video, found it helpful or even cool, be sure to hit subscribe or click on the logo right here. Check out some of the videos before hitting that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. and I'll see you guys in the next video.